thank you for coming this evening. Hopefully you are, a number of you aware, I know from the senior names coming, of the Northwoods Innovation Programme. I'm just going to give you a short introduction to it before then handing over to Timbeter to allow them to go through the innovative tool that they've developed and to run through a demonstration of that. So the Northwoods Innovation Programme is a platform to support and develop new approaches to woodland management, with the aim of helping bring previously unmanaged woodlands into management. We're doing three things primarily, one of which is demonstrating and sharing tools. We're running events such as this webinar, along with other demonstration and networking events, social media campaigns, case studies and videos to share with woodland owners, woodland managers, and the wider forestry sector and markets, new ways of managing woodlands, new tools, and potential developing markets. We're also supporting other innovators, so we have expert advice available from our consortium that's available to assist the development of tools and ideas that could potentially help bring more woodlands into management. And we're also developing a suite of online tools as well through the MyForest platform, including the provision of geospatial maps, an updated MyForest inventory tool, and we're hoping next year to develop a timber auction module to help woodland owners and managers bring timber through to market. So it's being delivered by a number of forestry businesses and experts. Reheat funding this. Reheat is hosting this, and is supported by the Forestry Commission. And we're working with a number of other partners that are listed there on the screen to, as I say, create a step change in woodland management in the northeast and Yorkshire. That's the hope. I'm going to hand over now to Brian from Timbeter, who has an innovative tool that we'd like to see demonstrated this evening. Brian, I'll hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rosanna, and thank you from my side as well for everyone for joining. Then my name is Brian Kasser. I'm the sales manager in Timbeter, and today I'm going to introduce you to our digital timber management platform. So then I'm going to present our end-to-end digital platform for sustainable forest management. So then, essentially what Timbeter is, it is a forestry management smart solution consisting of two parts. So firstly, the mobile application for smart devices for making and processing the actual measurements of stacks of timber. And then we have cloud storage with capabilities of online inventory, creating reports, and measuring editing features. So then Timbeter can pretty much be used by everyone in wood-based products industry and throughout the whole supply chain. So the measurements can be done in the forest during transportations, in storages, log yards, inventories, either post-production and then as well during the transportation of final goods. And then all of this provides control over the timber origin, that where the raw material is from, then the transactions between parties, then of course internal and external reporting, then supporting the logistics and transportation chain, helping to avoid illegal activities, supporting sustainable forest management, and improving safety and working environment. So how we are capturing the data is that firstly, you simply need to take a photo of your timber stack with your smartphone or tablet. And then we put all the numbers together, providing the, of course, firstly the GPS location on the map of the measurement for extra transparency, then the exact log count, volume, and the diameters of each logs with any many other data points. Then all of these measurements are uploaded to our cloud and become available in real time. And all of this data can be then shared and traced throughout the logistics or supply chain. So then what are the key benefits of using a solution of Timbeter? That here on the right, you see a picture of example of how measurement with Timbeter looks. But the benefits then are that firstly, time and cost efficiency. That measurements with Timbeter take 2 minutes on an average compared to hours that it can be while measuring every single log one by one. Then no special skills are needed, so we always provide objective and accurate results. Then ensuring the quality of results, providing the consistency and transparency throughout the supply chain. Then, whereas through all of this, providing real-time overview of the operations and providing opportunity of accuracy and speed of stock controls. And then a couple more benefits, starting with the precise information available for truck drivers, that they know exactly where the material is based and what volumes are available in real time from our system. Then also integration with different central system, whether these are ERP systems or any other data management systems via API from our system. Then all the data is available in our cloud as well for managers and customers from the measurements that are taken out in the forest. Then, of course, the quality of the overall information, that we're providing a calibrated cubic meter measurement, whereas we also have capabilities for conversions from cubic meters to weight in tons. So then getting to the application side of things, that Timbeter pretty much is the easiest solution for measuring groundwood digitally. And here are our core functionalities. That starting from the left, firstly, the diameter measurement, which then helps to get the exact log count, the volume of the stack, diameters of every single log, and additionally the diameter distribution and range of these as well. Then contour measurement, where we pretty much contour the stack, works similarly to the height, length, and depth measurement multiplied by coefficient. So there, through multiplying this area with coefficient, we provide the volume. Then the pile density or stack density measurement, which helps to determine this coefficient or the conversion factor when measuring, for example, pulpwood or fieldwood. And then finally, the truck measurement from the side of the truck, where we are able to mark the heights of every single package on the truck and apply the coefficient there for the volume. Then here is a result overview of our diameter measurement, where then you of course have a picture, but on the left you have all the data that is inserted when setting up the measurement. Then the tree species, quality classes, assortments, then of course the volume, the average diameter, the log count, log length, and the reference size for calibration. And of course the formula for volume calculation. Then additionally, here you are able to get a table if you have different assortments within one stack, then you can see the respective volumes and counts, or get the tally sheet to see how many logs account for each diameter as well. Then getting to some additional features of Timbeter, starting with the loading tool, that we have a capability when loading trucks to show exactly which logs should be loaded onto a truck. So user needs to enter an amount in cubic meters. Then we will show the exact volume or amount of logs that need to be loaded. And the goal of this is to optimize the loading process of trucks and avoid or reduce truck idle times and avoid overloading shipments as well. Then after that, QR code detection, which simply helps to, let's say, give identity to a log, that each log can have a QR code with a tag number connected to it. And this helps to then track the log throughout the supply chain back to a plantation or the source. So all of these QR codes we can detect in a bundle automatically as well. Then the diameter profiles, especially useful when measuring saw logs, that it's possible to apply multiple assortments based on diameter ranges or quality grades to one measurement. And then we provide separate counts and volumes for each assortment. And any oversized or too small diameters can automatically be set as defect or cull logs. Then I think one of our most popular and value-adding features is custom fields, as we have our default information that you can enter, but every user is able to customize the data that they are able to enter into Timbeter. So then on the left side, we can see that there are delivered dates, driver names, inspections, wood source. So you can also create drop-down menus as shown on the right. And all of this will be connected to a measurement and seen from both from the application or the cloud side. And then extra images. So in case any extra documentation, such as waybills, license plate numbers, pictures of these need to be connected with the measurement, then you are able to do so. Then, of course, defect marking. As always in stacks, not everything is of same quality. And you can eliminate wrong species from the stacks. And of course, able to create your own reasons for defects. Could be such as crookedness or rot or whatever the reason could be. You can create that. And then we, of course, display the volume and count for defective logs or cull logs in the final results as well. Then once the measurements have been taken in a preferred way in the application side, all of the data is uploaded to Timbeter dashboard, which then is our cloud-based platform, providing real-time overview of the operations, the editing capabilities, creation of reports, and adding any custom information to organizations and needs. So pretty much this is how the first look when you go to our dashboard looks. That you can create your own folders for different harvesting sites, log yards, and from application upload the measurement to respective storages or folders for better data and resource management. And on the left side, you can see that multiple devices can actually be connected under one account, which means that whether you have 5 or 100 devices connected to one account, all the measurements from these devices end up in the same place in the cloud. And here is the dashboard result overview. So pretty much consisting of all the data that is sent from the application side. And here you are able to adjust if there has been any mistakes or anything needs to be changed. Of course, you are able to see the measurement picture on a larger screen as well. And what is actually not shown on the application, then you get the measurement location as well. That on the map, we exactly pinpoint where the measurement was taken, providing extra transparency and proof of measurement. Then the option of editing measurements. So in case any kind of adjustments need to be made to measurement, then you are able to calibrate this correctly by changing the reference size, adding, deleting, or resizing logs, and adjusting the density or the conversion factor area. Then, as briefly mentioned before, that it's easy to integrate data or pull data from our system to any other accounting or ERP systems, such as SAP, 1C, or Axapta. And we have some time ago also become the official partners of SAP. Then one of the new features that we are looking to release in the future, currently in prototype, is the logistics overview that we are working towards tracking of the trucks and the measurements done on these trucks to have more transparency and controllability in supply chain. So currently you are able to see the route that truck took and then what material it is carrying or transporting, but eventually we are looking to have everything live, that if you have 10 trucks on the move, then you are able to see exactly where they are and what is the distance from between point A and B. Then as well, detection of duplicates, that we have special algorithms that are capable of seeing similarities in different measurements, or then finding that the measurement has been made from the same stack already, or then seeing similarities between stacks. If you measure half and half or some kind of portions of the stack match, then we are able to compile a report for that. Then, in addition to just adding custom fields as shown before, then you can add a lot more company-specific data, such as extra tree species, wood qualities, assortments, reasons of defect that are not in our system by default. Then also all of this information that you create on our dashboard is synchronized with the devices. So who are using the application on their smart device are able to start using the new data that is entered. And the users and devices management of who are able to access the data is very, very simple as well. So then Timbeter just does not consist of one product that I mainly described right now, that we actually also have a solution for container exporters, where you're able to create bill of ladings, add containers under these bill of ladings, then putting together packing lists, and then starting to make measurements from the logs in these containers to simplify any documentation, and then having real-time overview for the customers across the world, for example. Then Timbeter Log Counter, which is a very quick tool, for example, pole manufacturers. And then Timbeter Lumber, our newest release, which is designed for counting and measuring lumber coming from the sawmill production. Then we are also certified by a couple of organizations. So Metrocert, the Central Office of Metrology in Estonia, then Biometria, Swedish Forest Measurement Association, and then also Seismic SA from Latin America, part of Bureau Veritas Group. And so here, quick overview of our customers across the world that we are operating in around 60 countries, and already working with some of the biggest players in the industry, such as CMPC, Suzano, Stora Enso, and many more. And then one case study from or success story from Latin America, from CMPC Chile, which is the largest forest products company in Latin America and one of the largest pulp paper producers in the world. So they started using Timbeter in 2017, and today are using Timbeter throughout their whole supply chain. And what their findings have been is that they managed to do measurements 15 times quicker compared to the manual methods. Then their projected saving throughout the country annually is 1.2 million US dollars. Then their return on investment from starting using Timbeter was a whopping 11.5 times. And through all of that, they have achieved transparency in the supply chain, then saved a lot of spray paint. Actually, it has been to date, they annually have saved 22.5 tons of spray paint, and to this date, the figure is, I think, around 150 tons of spray paint saved. Then improving the safety of their employees, reducing the expedition time to nearby heavy machinery, improved their logistics planning, and also started the digitalization process that they do not need to use any paper in their operations anymore. And that is it for the presentation, and maybe a quick note regarding the UK as well, that we have quite some users in UK already too. So let's say for different, using Timbeter for different inventory or roadside timber measuring purposes. And now I will provide you a quick look into Timbeter's capabilities in the application side. So then, once you have downloaded and registered Timbeter's application, this is the first view that you will see. Today I'm going to take you through a quick tutorial how to, for example, calculate the fuel wood coefficient and calculate the volume over a whole stack. So the one on the right here. So let us imagine that we just took a picture of this log stack, and I'm going to showcase how quick the detection actually is and how quick it is to calculate all of the figures. So once you have taken a picture with Timbeter, the first step always is to enter the measurement data. So not much is required. So first of all, the reference size. So every time a reference needs to be used for calibration of the measurement. Here we have 100 centimeter reference, then the log length and the tree species. And once we are happy with how everything looks at, we can go to the actual measuring process. So the first step being then marking the reference. So we have this red line here, and from these white markers, we are able to move around the red line to match this reference object or measuring stick that is placed on the stack here. And now this then ensures the accuracy of the measurement. Then in the next step, we detect all the diameters. So this is always rather quick. So when it is 50 logs or 1,000, 2,000 logs, it always should take just seconds to detect everything. And then in the final step, we create the contour for the stack, meaning that we are now going to compare all of the diameters and the total stack area to get the eventual correction factor and also calculate the volume at the same time. And now here we have the final result. So as you can see from the presentations, the final result was shown a couple of times as well. But here we can see all of the log count and the volumes and the coefficients are just calculated within minutes. So a couple of things that I can show you right away is that there's a capability of a slider. So if you want to see only certain diameter ranges, then you are able to move this around and the volume and the counts will change respectively as well. And then as well, if pressed on volume, then it opens up the table that was seen before, and also the tally sheet when pressing on average diameter. So very quick and easy to capture all the required data. And then I think by now, while I've finished this measurement, it should already be in our cloud. And then once measurements are done, they end up in view results section, where you can have your whole list of tens, hundreds, or thousands of measurements. And I think that is pretty much it from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. It's really interesting to hear the in-depth dive there on the additional features. For those that aren't aware, we hosted a similar event on Tuesday, but more aimed at woodland owners, and it focused more on kind of the role that Timbeter could play for a small woodland owner. So it's really interesting to understand the additional capabilities beyond just the timber stack measurement. We've got an opportunity now for questions and answers. So if you have a question, please do raise your hand and I'll invite you to ask a question in person. If you'd rather ask your question via the chat, please do type it in, send it off, and I'll read it out for Brian to answer. Whilst everyone gets their thinking hats on for questions, Brian, I've got a question for you. What do you think the biggest benefit is to professional foresters with Timbeter?
I think it has to be efficiency, as throughout history and still there's a lot of manual work in forestry, whether it is measuring every single log by hand, their diameters or even the heights or lengths, then compared to hours it can take to capture volumes, it can be done in minutes. But then definitely the safety aspect as well, and the sustainability that many them substances such as spray paint pretty much is not necessary anymore in the operations, and you pretty much never need to use paper anymore to write any results down.
Great, thank you. I think time saving is always a positive thing. And so it's interesting that you see that being the biggest benefit to professional users. We have a question in the chat. Please, could you mention the percentage error in the measurements?
Yes, so we are certified for error margins from 1.5% to 0.5%. So then this, of course, means that we have very many different capabilities and features to match different regional and global needs to ensure that when measuring soil logs, we can use the same formulas and the same methods, and all of this plus the calibration ensures this accuracy.
And I suppose there is that ability to edit the app and the measurements and the contours as well to reduce that error. Is that correct?
Exactly. So main thing is that it will be calibrated correctly. But yes, everything by small adjustments can be made more and more accurate. So we have seen, I mentioned a couple of figures before, but we have been reported error margins like 0.01% as well. So it can be very, very accurate.
Yeah, that sounds very accurate if the error margins are getting that low. I've got another question for you. Paul, would you like to unmute yourself and ask a question?
Yeah, great. Hi, Brian. That was really, really fascinating. And I no longer do active management of woodlands, but when I did, or if I had your tool when I did, and I can see the massive benefits and you know, accuracy. You're talking about accuracy of what your system does. I mean, the accuracy of what you do to measure a stack measure is manually is not great, is it? So it's any inaccuracies that are going to come out of your system that sound tiny anyway are going to be a big improvement on what people do manually. So that's great. I have a very specific question about I manage a system in the UK called My Forest, which Rosanna mentioned earlier. And I was just, I can see that there could be potentially in the future nice links between people who've got their forest management data and how that then flows into what actually comes out and storing that information. Just wondering if you guys have thought about linking up with systems that generate provide forest management data information and creating an API link between systems. Is that something that you've done already?
Yes, we have, and on an ongoing basis, we're working with different, whether these are forestry companies or then forest data management platforms who are requesting such integrations. Yes, we have done these things and are looking to do it in the future as well. So definitely we have capabilities to do that.
Okay, fantastic. So I might contact you in the next sort of month or so and set up something so we can have a chat. That'd be really great.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. We have another question in the chat. Could you please outline a bit more the truck logistic part in terms of the timber trucks? Do they need any special tools? And also on internet and accessing the kind of the Timbeter dashboard when there's no internet or connection out on site.
Mm-hmm. So how our logistics tracking works currently is that everything works through the Timbeter application. So and only on our truck measurement regime currently, that there's a button that you can just press and it will start tracking. So right now, the truck driver needs to have Timbeter on their smart device, and the measurement has to be done with the same device. So any special tools are not required. We are using the location services of the device itself, and then it will become available and uploaded once it reaches internet connection. So necessarily we can still track them, and to also confirm that Timbeter works very well offline. So you do not need internet connection to measure, but it is only to upload the measurements and then synchronize data back to the devices. So especially useful for in winter conditions as well.
And will it upload automatically when you get back to a Wi-Fi connection?
Yes. So if Timbeter app is opened, or it can do it in the background as well, but usually the upload should be very, very quick.
So that's good to know. It's always a relief to know that things happen automatically when you get back into an area of data. I know that internet connection out in the woods can sometimes be a bit of a problem. I have a question for you on very large timber stacks, and you showed a lovely image there with a beautiful shadow, and I felt like I was standing in front of the timber stack taking a picture of it myself. But if I can't capture the whole stack within the image, is there a way I can get around that?
Yes, very good question. That we actually have a panorama mode as well. That you are, whether it's a 50 meters, 100 meter stack, that you are able to move parallel in a pile or parallel to the stack, and then capture pictures until you have captured the whole stack. Then stitch these together into a one measurement. So I've seen, I think, single measurements that are 150 meters, 200 meters long, and thousands of cubic meters in just a single measurement.
It's impressive to be able to do that and to capture the whole stack length there. Does anyone else have any questions from the audience for Brian, for Timbeter, whether it's on kind of what you've seen today or any questions about perhaps what they might be looking to support with in the future? I'll keep going. I've got a few more on my list of questions for now, but please do raise your hand or pop a message in the chat if you have anything else you'd like to ask. You spoke about kind of the average time being 2 minutes, which is, yeah, again, we were talking about the time efficiency savings there. What sort of size stack is kind of on average 2 minutes? And I presume the larger stacks take a little bit longer.
Yes, so these would be the single image measurements. That the process, as I showed, is very quick, and let's say first there's a bit of a learning curve as it is a professional tool in the end of the day. So first measurement might take 3-4 minutes, then you get 2 minutes after 4 or 5 more measurements, and once you have taken a couple dozen of measurements, you might even get it done in a minute. So it all depends, but panorama definitely takes a bit longer because you simply have to capture more images. So, but on an average, it takes 2 or 3 minutes. So.
I think it's an important point you touched on there, that the first time you use it, it might take a little bit longer whilst you get used to the tool.
That's what,
more you use it.
What we are here for, to help everyone with that.
And I know that you have technical support available to your users, and as you say, that's what you're there for, is to help with that. If I were interested in giving it a go myself, what would be the next steps, and where can I find more information?
So then getting started with Timbeter is very, very simple. That you can download our application from Google Play or App Store, and once you register an account, you get 10 free measurements immediately. And for all the participants here, we also offer a 2-week free trial with unlimited measurements and all the features available that are in our arsenal that you saw in the presentation. So yes, it pretty much is as simple as that, and providing an opportunity to evaluate how Timbeter could benefit different operations, as many companies and foresters have different tendencies in their operations as well, to make sure that we can make everything match.
That's useful, thank you. Jonas, would you like to ask your question and unmute yourself?
Yes, hello. Just a short question about measuring logs on trucks. Mm-hmm. So if I've got short lumber, and I think you would call it 3 or 4 piles on a truck, and then the middle pile is just not very accessible from the front, maybe I can take it from the side. How would that affect measurement and precision?
So then, let's say, are you looking to measure by diameters or?
Yeah, counting logs and diameters.
Mm-hmm. Well, then, unfortunately, we cannot measure what we cannot see. So you can definitely get the last stack, but I have seen that the trucks are putting their trailers a bit at an angle that you are able to get the counts that way. Okay. So in theory, it is possible. Measurement accuracy-wise, I cannot guarantee it 100%, but count definitely could be possible.
Okay, so we just would have to give it a try and see how what angle we get.
Yes, pretty much. So it is a possibility that way. Or some of our users have, in case they offload first stack, then they take another measurement, and then they take another measurement when there is no crane.
Okay, might be a solution. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your question. Are there any other questions from the floor? I know that I've seen some few dots in the group chat, but no question appeared just yet. If it's easier, feel free to kind of unmute yourself and ask your question. Could you touch on the costs of the tool, Brian, and the different subscription methods that you have available?
Yes, absolutely. So we have different options. That we have picture-based packages ranging from 10 measurements to 200 measurements. And then we have monthly and annual subscriptions, which means that you get unlimited amount of measurements and additional capabilities and features with that. So speaking of our subscription price, it starts from 195 euros or roughly 170 pounds per month per device, or then 1,950 euros a year per device, or then 1,700 pounds. And then the picture-based packages range from let's say roughly 28 euros to 300 euros.
It sounds like, I mean, there's the different options there for different types of users, depending on...
Exactly. Depending on what the needs are, that who needs to measure a couple of times a year, or who needs to make 100 measurements a day.
Yeah, that's I think that's really important. You know, the Northwoods programme is looking to bring those woodlands into management that aren't normally managed, and sometimes those are the smaller, more fragmented woodlands, not always. But that scalability of a tool and that accessibility to different types of users for different purposes, I think is a really important point. Is there anything else that you think, you know, Timbeter does really, really well? You know, what is one of the highlights of the tool in your opinion?
I think the highlight overall is that it is the complete solution. That it is just not the measuring tool, it's just not a counting tool, but we have users who rely their whole operations on this. And whether it comes to communicating with customers or with the official authorities, with government, that all the steps in the supply or logistics chain can be managed with Timbeter. Of course, adding the accuracy and sustainability and speed factors. But I think the most fascinating thing is that it is complete tool for everyone.
That's really good to hear, and particularly around the passion that you speak about the tool. It's always sounds good when someone believes in the tool and believes in the capabilities. So it's always nice to hear. Does anyone else have any other questions? We do. We've got another question from Jonas. Would you like to go ahead?
Yeah. Sorry if you might have touched this point in the presentation. Maybe I would have overheard it. So let's say we have measured a pile B with 1,000 cubic meters, and then different truck drivers come in and just taking wood from this pile and registering all the wood they are taking with them. Then in Timbeter we can see the difference of the remaining pile, or would this be done with an API and different software?
Well, so do I understand correctly that you're looking at inventory management, that you have 1,000 cubic meter pile, and then every time you take 25, 30 cubic meters away from that?
Exactly.
Well, in theory, you can. We have capability of categorizing measurements, that you can mark them as inventory, incoming or outgoing. That if you mark this large stack as inventory, for example, and all the trucks that are then taking from it as outgoing, then we are able to show the difference indeed. Then you can apply the period of time and filter it out and see the differences there.
Okay.
So basically this capability is there, yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. So Rosanna, I think you are muted.
Yes, you're correct. If there aren't any other questions, then I wonder whether we let everyone go and spend their evenings doing what they would normally do on a Thursday evening, or maybe they'll go and Google Timbeter and have a look at it online, who knows. So last opportunity for any questions. And if there aren't any, then I would just like to touch on the upcoming Northwoods events. We are running a number of webinars over the next few weeks, showing other innovative tools such as Timbeter for different purposes, but to do with woodland management. So we are looking at wildlife management next Wednesday evening with WildTrack Pro. This is an innovative tool that uses WhatsApp to support different landowners and managers manage the wildlife available, or wildlife presence, sorry, on their land. And this supports the reporting requirements of some of the Forestry Commission grants. And they're also looking to develop their capabilities to support other aspects of woodland management as well. So we'd really encourage you to join us next Wednesday at 5 o'clock. You can sign up in a similar fashion to the one this evening by going to Eventbrite. We've also got a webinar looking at ash dieback in woodlands and how we manage those in a few weeks' time, followed by insight from the Yorkshire Dales Millennium Trust on managing and reducing plastic in woodlands, and that will touch on both woodland creation but also restock in existing woodlands. Following that, in January, after the Christmas break, we're looking at diversifying woodland incomes and the variations in different income streams that you could potentially receive from your woodlands, that rather than your traditional timber products. So lots scheduled and coming up, and we also have a few other events in the pipeline. So I'd really encourage you to sign up to our newsletter, keep an eye on our website, and follow us on Eventbrite to keep up with all of our events that are upcoming. Finally, we will be sending out an evaluation form after this. We really do appreciate your feedback, and whether you've got something that you'd like to be back on, such as the time of the event or the speaker, or if you've got an opportunity or something that you've seen elsewhere and you'd like us to get in touch and see if they can demonstrate it for us, then please do let us know by the evaluation form. So I think that just leaves me to say thank you very much all for coming. Thank you, Brian, for demonstrating Timbeter so well.
Thank you.
And good evening to you all. Thank you.
Goodbye.